When your entire brand is built on positivity and safe spaces, what happens when everything starts crumbling around you? Right now, Preslee Faith is finding out the hard way, and the internet is not holding back. New allegations have surfaced, old wounds are being reopened, and people are asking one massive question. Is this finally the moment that ends her career for good? What's happening right now isn't just another internet drama cycle. This feels different. This feels final. And if you want to understand why everyone is so angry, why the Glowhouse brand is in serious trouble, and what this means for influencer accountability as a whole, you need to stick around because we're about to break down everything. The storm didn't start with these new allegations. It's been building for months, maybe even years. What? Preslee Faith has been walking a tightrope, and every time she stumbled, people noticed. Every questionable post, every problematic audio, every half-hearted response has been stacking up like evidence in a case that's finally going to trial. And here's what makes this explosion so much more devastating than your typical influencer scandal. Preslee isn't just some random creator with a ring light and a dream. She's tied directly to the Glowhouse brand, a collective that has built their entire empire on being the safe, positive, inclusive space that everyone can trust. When that image gets shattered, it doesn't just hurt one person. It potentially destroys everything they've worked for. So let's start with what actually happened this time. Screenshots started circulating across every platform. ALLEGEDLY, showing Preslee using language that fans are calling explicitly racist.
Stop it. Get some help.
Within hours, hashtags started climbing. Comment sections exploded, and the backlash was immediate and brutal. People weren't just disappointed this time. They were furious. One viral post captured the mood perfectly. That's the kind of feedback that should terrify any brand, because it suggests that their core value proposition is being questioned by the very people they were trying to serve. At this point, fans aren't calling Preslee's behavior isolated incidents anymore. They're calling it a pattern, and they're demanding consequences that match the severity of what they believe she's done. Every time her name trends, the same evidence gets circulated. The lip sync clip, the problematic reposts, the questionable audio choices, the vague non-apologies that never directly address what happened. Too many viewers. It adds up to someone who either doesn't understand why her behavior is harmful or simply doesn't care enough to change it. One Reddit thread that gained massive traction was titled, "How much proof do people need before admitting their SA pattern here?" The responses were overwhelming. People shared screenshots, timestamps, and detailed breakdowns of everything they felt Preslee had done wrong over the years. Another viral comment on YouTube said, "Stop using her age as an excuse. She's old enough to know what racism is, and she's definitely old enough to apologize properly when she messes up." For many viewers, this isn't about a single mistake anymore. It's about consistency, accountability, and whether someone can continue getting second chances indefinitely while seemingly learning nothing from their mistakes. The Glowhouse connection makes everything worse because the brand has positioned itself as being about growth, learning, and doing better. When their biggest star appears to be doing the opposite of growing and learning, it creates a contradiction that fans can't ignore. So what happens next? That's the question everyone is asking. And honestly, there are only a few ways this can go. Preslee's usual playbook for handling scandals has always looked the same. Post a soft statement, mention learning and growing, and then disappear for a few days until everything blows over. In her previous apologies, she has said things like, "I was young and didn't mean to hurt anyone," without ever directly naming what she did wrong or taking clear accountability for it. For a while, that approach worked. Her core fans accepted the explanations. The internet moved on to the next drama, and life continued. But this time feels different. People aren't buying the same formula anymore. The screenshots and old clips are circulating faster than ever. And viewers are explicitly pointing out that they've heard these same vague promises before without seeing any real change. One fan comment that got thousands of likes said, "If she can't even say the word racism in her apology, then she's not actually sorry." Another person added, "These Notes app apologies aren't cutting it anymore. We need to see real accountability, not just PR speak." And they might be right. The internet has gotten much better at recognizing When influencers are following a crisis management script versus when they being genuinely authentic. Audiences are demanding more transparency, more accountability, and more evidence of actual growth. If Preslee wants to survive this storm, she can't just post another vague learning experience statement. She needs a completely different approach, and she needs it fast, because the patience of her audience appears to be running out. The comment sections are full of suggestions for what that different approach should look like. Fans want complete honesty above everything else. That means a direct on-camera apology where Preslee clearly states what happened, why it was wrong, and what specific steps she's taking to change. No vague phrases like "I've grown so much" or "people misunderstood me." People want real accountability, not carefully crafted PR language designed to minimize damage while admitting as little as possible. Second, they want to see actions, not just words. That could mean supporting anti-racism organizations, creating educational content, taking a break from social media to focus on personal growth, or even stepping back from Glowhouse temporarily. Anything that demonstrates genuine change in real time, not just promises about future improvement. And finally, Glowhouse itself can't stay silent anymore. Fans are demanding a clear policy on hate speech, harassment, and accountability within the group. If they want to maintain their image of positivity and inclusivity, they need to show that they take these issues seriously and that their values apply to everyone equally. Because here is the harsh reality they refacing if the next Glowhouse upload acts like nothing happened. If they continue featuring Preslee without addressing any of the concerns, fans will interpret that as a definitive statement about their priorities. And once people believe that Glowhouse doesn't actually care about the values they claim to represent, rebuilding that trust becomes incredibly difficult. The stakes are enormous right now. For Preslee personally, this could determine whether she has any kind of long-term career as an for Glowhouse as a brand. This could permanently damage their reputation and cost them the trust and loyalty of their entire audience. They've built their following on the idea of being different, of being the positive space where people can escape from toxicity and drama. If fans start believing those values are just performative marketing tactics, the backlash won't stop with angry comments. It could snowball into a massive decline in engagement, subscribers, sponsorship deals, and overall influence. But there's still time to change course. If Preslee steps up with genuine accountability and meaningful action, if Glowhouse demonstrates that their values actually mean something, if they show that growth and change are possible, then this crisis could potentially become a turning point rather than an ending. The alternative is much darker if they mishandle this. If they continue trying to weather the storm without making real changes, then we could be watching the beginning of the end for both Preslee's career and Glowhouse's credibility. And that brings us to the real cliffhanger in this story. What will Preslee do next? Will she finally break the cycle of vague apologies and half measures? Will Glowhouse step up and prove that their values aren't just marketing copy? Or will they double down on protecting her and hope that the internet eventually moves on to something else? The next few days and weeks are going to be absolutely crucial. Every post, every video, every response is going to be scrutinized and interpreted as a signal about what they really believe and who they really are. Fans are watching closer than ever before. Screenshots are being taken of everything. And the internet's memory for this kind of drama has never been longer or more unforgiving. One wrong move, one tone-deaf response, one attempt to sweep this under the rug, and the consequences could be irreversible. This is the moment where careers get made or broken, where brands prove their authenticity or reveal themselves as hollow marketing constructs. Preslee and Glowhouse are standing at a crossroads, and the path they choose will determine not just their immediate future, but their entire legacy. The question isn't whether they can survive this crisis. The question is whether they deserve to survive it, and whether they're willing to do what it takes to prove that they learned something meaningful from everything that happened. Because at the end of the day, that's what this is really about. It's about growth, accountability, and whether second chances should be unlimited when someone seems unwilling or unable to actually change. It asks about whether brands that preach positivity and inclusion actually live up to those values when it becomes difficult or expensive to do so. The internet is waiting for an answer, and honestly, so am I. What happens next will tell us everything we need to know about who Preslee Faith really is and what Glowhouse actually stands for. And given everything that's at stake, that answer better be good. This isn't a mistake anymore. This is who she really is. Another comment that got thousands of likes said, "How many chances does one person get before we admit there's a pattern here?" But here's the thing that's making this blow up even bigger than it normally would. People weren't starting from zero with Preslee. They already had doubts, they already had concerns, and they'd been watching her closely for a long time. These new allegations didn't create suspicion. They confirmed it. Let me take you back to where this all really started, because understanding the history is crucial to understanding why people are so angry right now. The first major red flag that people point to is that infamous lip sync video where Preslee mouthed a racial slur without any hesitation whatsoever. At the time, some people tried to write it off as ignorance or just following along with the sound, but the internet never forgot. Every single time Preslee's name trends, that clip resurfaces like clockwork. People screenshot it, repost it, and use it as evidence that this behavior isn't new. Then came the meme reposts. Preslee shared content tied to characters like Uncle Ruckus, jokes that many viewers saw as being way too comfortable with racist humor. Whether she thought they were harmless or not didn't matter to her audience. The perception was set, and in influencer culture, perception often becomes reality. People started digging through her playlists and found audios with problematic undertones. They looked at her comment history and saw responses that felt toned down. Each individual thing might have been explainable on its own, but together they painted a picture that a lot of people didn't like. So when these new allegations dropped, fans didn't see an isolated incident. They saw confirmation of something they'd suspected all along. They connected dots from the lip sync to the memes to the audios to the responses, and in their minds, it created an undeniable pattern. And that's exactly why this scandal feels so much more serious than her previous controversies. It's not just about one screenshot or one old video. It's about consistency. It's about a track record that people feel they can no longer ignore. But there's another layer to this story that makes everything even more complicated. And it involves the other members of Glow House. Remember Aaliyah? When an old clip of her using a slur went viral, she posted an apology and then seemed to disappear from Glow House content almost immediately. Now, Glow House never gave an official explanation for why Aaliyah stepped back, but the message seemed clear to fans. Mess up like that, and you're out. So when Preslee faces similar allegations but continues to appear front and center in every video and podcast, people are asking obvious questions. Why is Preslee still here? Why does she get to stay when others didn't? Are there different rules for different people? And if so, what does that say about everything Glow House claims to stand for? To make matters worse, there was also drama between Preslee and fellow Glow House member Jaffe Valencia. Accusations surfaced claiming that Preslee had bullied and body-shamed Jaffe, which felt like a complete betrayal of the sisterhood and positivity that Glow House preaches. When fans expected a sincere, direct apology, Preslee's response only made things worse. Instead of addressing the accusations head-on, she posted a vague video talking about how she and Jaffe were fine and blaming everything on normal friendship disagreements. That response might have worked in a different context, but people noticed that posts got deleted afterward and comments were being heavily moderated. To viewers, it looked less like transparency and more like damage control. And when you're already facing questions about accountability, being seen as dodging responsibility is the last thing you want. Despite all of this backlash, despite all the criticism, Glow House continued featuring Preslee in thumbnails, vlogs, and podcasts as if absolutely nothing had happened. For fans who were already frustrated by what they saw as favoritism, this felt like the final confirmation that rules don't apply equally within the group. And that's what brings us to where we are right now. This isn't just about Preslee anymore. It's about what Glow House stands for, whether their values are genuine or performative, and whether accountability actually matters in their world. The Glow House brand is built on very specific promises. They sell safety, positivity, inclusivity, and the idea that their content is a refuge from all the negativity and drama elsewhere online. Their entire audience comes to them specifically because they believe in those values. So when their biggest star keeps getting involved in controversies that seem to contradict everything the brand represents, it creates a massive credibility problem. Fans don't just feel let down by Preslee. They feel betrayed by the entire collective for continuing to platform her. People are starting to ask whether Glowhouse actually practices what they preach, or if it's all just marketing designed to build an audience. And once fans start questioning the authenticity of your entire brand, that's when real damage happens. The comment sections under recent Glowhouse videos tell the whole story. People aren't just criticizing Preslee anymore, they're questioning everyone. They're asking why the other members aren't speaking up, why leadership isn't taking action, and whether any of the positive messaging they've been consuming is actually real. One comment that really stuck out said, "How can you preach about safe spaces while platforming someone who clearly doesn't respect them?" Another person wrote, "I used to come here to escape drama, but now you're creating it."